Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 88.
And welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. This is Sheila Webster, and I'm here with Elise Seifert. Hi, Elise.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am great. So today we are going to do another session of our India trip.
That's right.
Where are we going today?
Today we are going to the
Taj Mahal. So we were in New Delhi.
That's right.
And we decided, I don't know how Elise and Julie decided this, but they went and saw a tour guide. Someone told you to go to a travel agency or something to get all this.
I think it was our hotel. We were having a really hard time booking trains in India. It was really tricky to navigate their website. And I think we had even gone to the train station. It was still really difficult. So they recommended that we go to a travel agency.
And did they recommend the travel agency that you go to?
No, I don't think so. I think they might have told us where we could find
A travel agent.
area with travel agencies. They may have recommended it. But I think the travel agencies purchase tickets ahead of time for the trains to sell to tourists.
Okay.
So they said, if you're interested in train travel throughout India, go to a travel agency because they have pre-purchased tickets. So that's exactly what we did. We wanted to travel around India for about a month after you left.
Right.
So our primary goal was to book the remainder of our trip, but we also wanted to go to see the Taj Mahal because
You gotta.
we're in India. I mean, that's what you see in India.
And like, believe it or not, it's in the middle of nowhere, kind of.
It is.
The Taj Mahal, like you do have to go away far, not far, but you have to go out of
I imagined
touristy area.
that it was close to New Delhi.
Me too.
But it's not. It's about 200 kilometers away from New Delhi.
Right. So the travel agent suggested that we just hire a car.
And so he had booked a car for us. And, 200 kilometers, I thought, okay, that's like a 2-hour, 3-hour drive. It was not. It was
not.
so long.
It was quite the experience because this is where we saw the roads at its worst, but at its best,
Yes.
right? So you got to see, you're in there. And we're in a car that's air conditioned, and air conditioned, our standards to India standards are different. We were sweating.
We were sweating. We were like, oh, an air conditioned car for 2 hours. No problem.
We were sweating. And then one time I rolled down the window and I rolled her back up because I was like, okay, if I thought the car wasn't, it was so hot out there compared to in the car, but we were still hot and not really moving a lot.
No.
A lot of the times. But I saw people climbing onto buses, like our buses and their buses. So they have the buses where you sit inside. I'm assuming the tickets are more if you sit inside because maybe it's air conditioned. But they have that you can climb up the back of the bus and they have these rails on top of the bus where you can sit up there.
That's right.
And it must be cheaper to do that.
Yes.
Because I don't know.
I mean, it's
why would
a
people
little more
opt?
dangerous.
Yes, more dangerous. So people would just climb on this bus whenever. Like, didn't even stop the bus. Because
it could be moving at a slow pace and they would still climb.
Yes. So the bus and the tuk-tuks and the motorcycles and the cars and the elephants and
the cows.
And the cows were all on the road and we're driving to Agra.
I loved watching the motorcycles. You would see just the whole family on one motorcycle. So you'd
And
see,
all their groceries and some
right.
laundry.
the parents, the children, all tucked in together on one
And
motorcycle.
often the child was asleep.
That's right.
Sleeping on the end, kind of where you put your things in. The child's sitting there sleeping.
Some things never change.
Yeah.
The vehicle ride makes kids fall asleep.
Ah, that was really fun. So we get to Agra and we have a hotel, but the hotel was in the middle of nowhere, like nothing anywhere around.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it seemed like a new build. So it was kind of out in the boonies. We didn't really see a lot of restaurants around.
And we would have had to walk at least 15 minutes to get anywhere.
Yes.
Which we were just a little afraid to do because it seemed like there was no one. And especially when you were used to New Delhi, which is everyone, there's millions of people. It seemed safer, oddly enough.
To have a million
people
around,
around than no one. So we were afraid to leave the hotel room. So we just stayed there and ordered room service.
We did.
Which was non-existent, really.
No,
we
garlic
had garlic naan and maybe some chips, bottled water.
Yeah. But we didn't have to stay there very long because we had a very early morning, actually, at the Taj Mahal. They had recommended that we go at 6 a.m.
Yes. Because that's when it opens.
That's exactly when it opens. And they said it gets so busy that you can't really get good photos unless you go right away.
And the other thing is the Taj Mahal, you can't drive up to it. I don't know how many kilometers it is from, there's like this huge park and this huge gate. And you'd get driven there and then you got to do this walk. And during the day, supposedly later on it gets in the day, the more vendors there are there and there's more people harassing you. And so you can't get through that walk without millions of people grabbing you, wanting you to buy things, wanting you to give them money, wanting like that type of atmosphere. So you have to do this walk to get to the Taj Mahal. So they suggested we go early in the morning because in India, a lot of people wake up early because it's not as hot. Mm-hmm. And that's their family time. So when we went, I think it was 5:30 in the morning when we did this walk, all these families are in the park just having a picnic.
Yes.
It was like family time and it was so calm. They were all just enjoying their families and having food and eating. This was like their quiet time and their family time. And then they all go to school and go to work and do their thing. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting.
It was really beautiful
and it was really beautiful to see.
I had thought we had to go see the Taj Mahal because it's something that everyone talks about. And I thought, how amazing can this place really be? I have seen a lot of pictures of it. I kind of know the general idea of it. How amazing can this place really be? And it was breathtaking.
Oh my goodness.
It's hard to describe the color of the building. It's made of this incredible marble that kind of changes
with the
sunlight. Mm-hmm. So when we first arrived, it's a little bit of a different tone than later in the day. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing to know that there's something in the world on this earth that can create such a marble and that they could use it to create this beautiful structure. And then the park itself, I guess I didn't really think about how beautiful the park would be in front of the Taj Mahal. Mm-hmm.
So we walked through this public park, but then you pay to get into the Taj Mahal and there's another, let's say 2 kilometers walk of this garden marble water park wonder before you get to the Taj Mahal. So yes. I think that's what she's talking about.
Definitely. The water before you get to the Taj Mahal and just the visuals that you can get with these beautiful ponds building up to this beautiful building. It was incredible. And I had actually thought that the Taj Mahal was like a castle.
Me too.
Where people lived, you know, but it's not. It's a tomb. So I didn't know that. So that was really interesting to learn, and how someone built it for their wife because he just loved them so much. So all of this love went into this beautiful structure, and that's what it's there for. It's really interesting to think about that.
It is that they built this for their wife, and his castle, the Red Castle, he could see the Taj Mahal from his bedroom.
Yes.
So that was something that he could look at all the time, and his wife was buried there. So it was a lovely love story for this gorgeous building.
Yes, so much love to go into this building.
And money, I must say.
Yes.
A lot of money was put into this, and supposedly the volunteers, as our tour guide said, the volunteers that built it were thinking that they are more slaves, but...
Right, yes. Volunteers, yep.
Yes, that built it, and it was just a sight to see, but it was worth the trip.
It really was. And I know when we had been driving up, our tour guide said that a lot of people make the trip to India just to see the Taj Mahal and then they leave. So a lot of famous people would fly into New Delhi, drive to Agra, which is the city where the Taj Mahal is, see the Taj Mahal, and then leave. And I thought, that's so strange. Why would you just want to come to see one site? But I will say it was an incredible place to see.
It was, because our tour guide then brought us around into the town, and we saw the Red Castle, or the Red, is it the Red Castle that it's called? Something, the Red something. And
the Red Keep, or the Red...
It was red. Let's go there.
Definitely, yeah.
And it was, the castle. That was where...
That's where they lived.
And so that was really cool to see. Very old, and
yes, and it gave us more of an insight into how they lived and more about their culture, which was great to see. And I had no knowledge of it, obviously.
Me neither.
I mean, we can remember the name of the Taj Mahal so well, but not this building.
I know, isn't that funny?
Not something that you learn about quite as much.
And then we drove around through the town, and he showed us the back of the Taj Mahal, because it's on the other side of the water. And it was beautiful even seeing that.
Yes.
So it was very interesting. And the town, I think, is designed around the tourism of the Taj Mahal and the Taj Mahal itself. But it was worth the drive for sure to see.
It was a beautiful place. And I cannot get over the marble. I think that was my favorite part, just seeing the color of the marble, and pictures just really can't capture it.
No, would you say it was like a pinkish hue when we got there?
Yes, and then kind of like a yellow hue later, and more of a white hue later. So it just changes throughout the day. So it was such an incredible sight to see, and such an incredible,
wonderful thing that we got to do in India.
Another wonderful thing.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds. Today's interview is in the category of social wellness. It's disturbing, but it's a reality that people experience sexual assault in our society. Fortunately, there are other people and organizations who help. SASC, short for Sexual Assault Support Center of Waterloo Region, wraps survivors of sexual and gender-based violence in community care. They provide a safe place, they walk beside survivors, they listen, and bear witness. They offer practical supports and celebrate the resiliency of survivors that use their services. Welcome, Noura.
Hey, John. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Noura Saad is a family court support worker at SASC. She's held this role for over a year. She works with women who experience domestic violence and traumatic events. She helps them to navigate through the complex and challenging family court support system. She has a background in social development studies at the University of Waterloo. During her free time, she enjoys listening to podcasts, visiting fine art museums, hiking, yoga, and travel. So Noura, we're hoping to get a sense of what the women you help experience, what services are available, and what we can do if we know someone who experiences sexual assault. What are examples of what people face, the people you help at SASC? What have they gone through?
Well, John, I would say that a lot of the women that we support have gone through some sort of domestic violence, have gone through some sort of traumatic event in their life. Really, domestic violence is not just physical assault. That can be one extreme end of it. We here at the Sexual Assault Support Center support a lot of clients who have experienced sexual assault, who have experienced gender-based violence, intimate partner violence, and then really all the colorful parts of domestic violence, be it verbally, psychologically, spiritually, financially.
I noticed when we were getting ready for this, you talk about female-identified folks. Is it more women who you help and female-identified?
Yes. So our agency supports folks from the 2SL LGBTQ plus community and also females and non-binaries. However, if we do get referrals from others, we support them to the best of our ability, but ultimately refer them elsewhere.
How do you see SASC's role in this?
So SASC, as an agency, we provide different programs. We have counselor advocacy. We have our sexual assault legal advocates who accompanies clients who are disclosing and reporting to the police in regards to their sexual assault. And then us here in the family court support world, we support, as you mentioned, with clients who are going through the complex and challenging family court system. So we've got quite a collection of great programs that provide support and advocacy for our clients.
Just to give some context, can you give an example or two of what people are actually experiencing and how they find you?
It could be in the form of sexual assault is a very common one. Gender-based violence has become very prominent, unfortunately, in our community. They will come to us either as a self-referral. They may come to us as being referred from some of the educational institutions that we work with in the community. So Conestoga, University of Waterloo, Wilfrid Laurier University. They may also hear about us through their peers, through the allies that they have in our community. Social media is a huge one as to where folks can find us. And just more recently, the Waterloo Regional Police Services and our courthouse have been referring folks over to us because they acknowledge and value the service that we provide to our clients.
Well, let me imagine someone who, let's say they're a student, but they may have been sexually assaulted outside of school. If they come to you, you mentioned counselor and counselor advocacy. So is that like a role at SASC?
Yep. We have quite a few amazing counselors and advocates of all walks of life who clients will come and meet with, depending on their goals, whether it's short-term or long-term. And the counselors will meet with them to really, again, walk alongside them and hear about their experiences because, you know, unfortunately for many of the folks that have gone through sexual assault, they may not have the safe space to discuss and share their experiences openly and safely, especially. So the counselor advocates really give them the opportunity and safe space to express their traumas.
Analogies aren't always great, so I'm not sure if this will work, but let me try it anyway. So I'm a lawyer, and in my world, I deal with what's called civil litigation, so people having lawsuits about different things. And one of the things that stresses people out the most when they come to me is they don't understand the process. Setting aside all the stuff that's happening and worrying about the merits of the case, the process makes them very nervous. They don't know when things will happen, how they will happen, what they're expected to do, who will ask them questions. Is that the kind of thing when someone meets with a counselor, when a victim meets with a counselor, that they're concerned about too? And can you guys help on that front?
Yeah, so I can't speak too much on the counselors because their role is a bit different than the court support role. But as for us here and the family court support and our sexual violence legal advocate, when we meet with clients who are going through either the criminal court or the family court system, we really share all the ins and outs of, you know, what family court or criminal court entails. We connect them with lawyers. We help them to debrief pre and post court because the legal jargon and the lingo can be hard to understand. It's very important for us to be able to have the client understand, to know that we're there to support them and we're there for them and only for them. We have clients that are trying to protect their children, are trying to build a future that would be sustainable. And it can be hard in a judicial system where some parts that are outdated, they need the advocacy and the support.
I could sense a bit of hesitation when you were talking about the court system and how maybe it's antiquated in ways. I imagine you hear a lot from victims that they're afraid, in a sense, or they don't want to go to court because they feel like they'll become the victim.
One of the most important things that we do before any court accompaniment is to brief with the client as to what the expectations are going in. One of the things that we try to let the client know is, you know, based on our experiences from the past, this is kind of where the trajectory goes when it comes to their matters. When it comes to supporting clients who've especially gone through immense domestic abuse, we have to recognize that sitting in court can cause them to feel re-traumatized because you're reliving your lived experiences, right? So we navigate through that. We try to game plan, we safety plan with them, you know, to say if something triggers you, okay, what's going to be the next step? We can ask to have the judge let myself and the client and their lawyer step out of the room and debrief. I've had this actually happen recently during a trial accompaniment where the client I was supporting was being cross-examined and the lawyer asked her something that really triggered her and she got very emotional. And the judge honored that and said, you know, would you like to take a moment to kind of come down from it? And as the court adjourned, the judge said, you know, feel free to step out with your family court support worker to have some support and to talk through that. So I think one of the advantages also, John, if I may share about our program, is that when we are accompanying a client in court, it's almost a nonverbal signal to the judge to say, hey, there is domestic violence in here or else we wouldn't be there. We have some really great family court judges who do the work to be domestic violence informed, intimate partner violence informed. But the bottom line is the client is going up against someone that's their whole motive is to vilify them, is to defame them, right? And not only are they experiencing that in court, they're experiencing that in their real life. Especially when we talk about the clients we support who come from racialized communities. Marriage is a once in a lifetime thing. And you as a client, as a wife, as a mother, has the duty to put up with it, if I can put it in casual terms, right? So they end up suppressing and neglecting themselves because they're at the mercy of their partner to make this work because it's the norm within their cultural and religious upbringing. They're not only going through this in court, they're also going through this in their personal life. And they end up going up against this beast that the whole motive is to make them lose themselves. So we're there to walk alongside them, to help them remember that they have the resilience, the determination to come out of this, because they are the eyes for their children. They are there to empower and to gain back their power. Our program and the work we do at our agency is profound, and it carries a lot of value in our community.
A really big part of my image of wellness is these different categories, and a really important one to me is social wellness. And I see that in different ways. I call this podcast Let's Be Well Together because I think that's our best chance at wellness is together. How do you see the community building and feeling supported in the context of the work your organization does?
The model that we have here at SASC is empowerment together. It's community building. It's reintegrating the clients back into their day-to-day lives because, once our work is done, they have to move on and live in the future. So we want to build sustainable goals. So community building is a huge thing. I think one of the things that I'm so proud of our program here with the Family Court Support is that we don't always work from the lens of worker and clients. We work from the lens of human to human. These are people going through raw, challenging times. When a client comes, we hold them when they are going through difficulty, but we also celebrate a lot of the great milestone accomplishments that they experience and congratulate them. Some of the things that we'll do is refer them to other agencies that have, big counseling groups. So a great one that we have in our community is called Strong Mom, Safe Kids, where folks who are also going through family court get together with their children and have community conversations, discussions, connect, network. But even for us internally here at SASC, we build that safe space for the client. If they're celebrating a religious or cultural holiday, we'll celebrate that with them. If they have a birthday, we'll celebrate that with them. If I can share, I had a client, I remember she came in and she was so distraught, so emotional because her partner had just taken their children and left their home. And, all she knows was being a mother. So to have that yanked from her was traumatizing. She came into our office, we supported her, got her the supports in line with lawyers and such. And I remember getting to the case conference, which is months down the line. And just before we go into the courtroom, she just had this glow to her, and we go in, the judge awarded her overtime parenting time. So she finally got her girls back. And I remember she turned around to me and just for a millisecond, John, she gave me this look of relief. And I swear to you, we both shared a tear together because I was just so proud of her and so relieved for her because I knew how much her children meant to her. So that community building is huge. I remember when we left after, she's like, okay, does that mean we're done? I'm like, no, you're just starting. And she's like, oh, thank God, because I don't want to let you go yet, So just having that community, letting them know that we've got your back is so humbling, John.
Well, that sounds amazing. And I appreciate you giving us an actual experience that will help us picture it. One thing we haven't covered so far, Noura, is I think you said too that there's some aspect that deals with human trafficking. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what aspect it is?
Yeah, so John, we have a program here at SASC as well where we have counselor advocates that support clients who have endured or are currently experiencing human trafficking in the community, which is actually, unfortunately, it's a lot more common here in our region than I think we really realize.
Just to jump in for a second, I think what you mean by that are people who are brought into a fold in some manner and persuaded or pressured into acting as sex workers. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know too much of the intricacies of the program, so I kind of speak from a general, but you're absolutely right, John. Yes.
Okay. So what can you tell us about kind of an experience with that and how your organization helps those people?
The clients that come for support with human trafficking, you know, they're looking for counseling, they're looking for advocacy, again, with the folks in our agency to advocate for them and be the voice for them when they may not have the ability to do so. I do recall 2 milestone accomplishments, if I can share from our annual gathering. Our coordinator of the program shared that she recalls 2 of her clients. One ended up going to law school, and during our annual gathering, we were actually catered cupcakes by another client who started to do a side hustle, making cupcakes. So it was just, again, a great accomplishment, you know, coming out of a very dark and challenging world to be able to walk alongside that.
Well, this is all amazing. We've only just kind of touched briefly on a wide range of ways you assist people, but still it's appreciated that you can give us a context of who these people are and how you're helping. And we're so glad that you're in the community offering that kind of support and enhancing our social wellness. So we're at the end of the interview, and we ask every guest the same question in a context where we all have areas of wellness that are important to us, but not enough time to focus on them at any given time. It's our little mini wellness check-in. And the question is, are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one thing you can do to foster wellness in that area?
If I can speak on behalf of the clients in this program, I would say the consensus is neglect. Being neglectful to themselves physically, emotionally, health-wise. Because again, as we discussed, you know, family court is complex and it's very, very time consuming. But I think, again, you know, when they come to us in this program, we work with them to empower them, to remind them of the determination and resiliency that they have, and to help self-ignite the light that's within them. It can be hard at times.
Hopefully start taking care of themselves a bit if they're neglecting.
Absolutely.
Noura, thanks so much for your time and telling us about SASC.
Thanks, John. Thanks. It was my pleasure.
I'm Cameron, and welcome to another installment of The Adventures of the Starving Artist. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm feeling a little bit run down, so here's what we got. I was having a fantastic week. It was really busy. You might remember I was doing tons of, frankly, boring reading stuff, wearing my administrative hat. I got through quite a bit of that, and I think I'm ready for the next step, which is to actually meet up with an accountant and go through it with a pro. So I'm feeling better about that. And getting that stuff out of the way, I'm feeling really good about that. Last weekend was the first weekend in a long time where I had time to just be a person. I didn't have any gigs. I didn't have to travel out of town for anything. I met up with some friends. On Sunday, I had the whole day to myself. It was beautiful outside, and I got out on the longboard and boarded for 4 hours along the trails down by the river here in Ottawa. I don't even know how far I went, but several kilometers, and it felt really good. Get the heart pumping a bit and be out in the fresh air like that. And then Monday, I woke up with a little bit of a congestion, a little sniffle. And I was talking with a student of mine, and she said, well, no wonder. If you go, 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 and then you finally get a little downtime, it's no surprise that your body kind of went, woof, and, things caught up to you. And I was reminded of when I was in school, and that happened to me almost every year. I would crunch time towards exams at the end of the season and get through my exams and then get sick, almost every time. And it always drove me bonkers because I could never find a way around it, And so I thought, oh yeah, this is probably another one of those, and that makes a lot of sense. So last night, Tuesday night, it was starting to get a little bit worse, and I sounded more like I sound right now, which is like I have a clothespin on my nose and feel like there's a beehive in there. And I figured I should take a COVID test that's been going around, and lo and behold, I have tested positive for the dirty vid. So now today, Wednesday the 13th, which happens to be my 30th birthday, happy birthday to me, I'm in quarantine. So there you go, you can't win them all. But that does put a bit of a wrench in my plans. No more time to be a person, unless you count just resting and recovering as being a person. We'll see. I'm hopeful that I can rest up and kick this quickly. In the grand scheme of things, it's pretty mild. I sound worse than I feel, although my head feels like it's about to pop, so we'll see. But wish me luck, and I'm going to go back to bed. For now, that's all I've got. Stay healthy out there, wash your hands, wear a mask if you need to, and hopefully you guys manage to dodge it. I'm Cameron. This is this 30-year-old, very sick, starving artist. Until next time.
We're glad you're here, and we hope you're making wellness a priority. Hope you're getting something out of the podcast. And especially for people who are new, you might not know that the podcast was inspired by my book, Accidentally Well by John Webster. It's available on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere where you can buy books online. And this is my pitch for you to buy a copy and have a read. I think it'll enhance the experience of the podcast, and it will also help us defray some costs because it's really expensive putting out a podcast. So grab a copy if you can, and in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the show.
Move that body like we're meant to do.
I'm getting sneakier, and now when people come over to do interviews, I sometimes say, hey, you're here anyway, why don't we do a Move That Body? And so I'm here with Andrea Lee, who's just done a couple great interviews. And you mentioned, Andrea, that you're getting back into running. Well,
I am.
I have to talk to you about that.
Yes,
I love
absolutely,
running.
right?
So what do you mean by getting back into it?
I mean, starting again. For me, that is because I'm already biking and doing some other cardiovascular training. I can start with a 4K. That feels good for my body to start again at a 4K slow pace, what's called zone 2 running. But I also grabbed a friend as well. So that makes it easier. You can chat a little bit along the way, especially staying in that zone 2. But I wanted to get back into my running. I used to play ball hockey last year. I hurt my knee at the beginning of this year, actually in January. I did actually tear my ACL.
Ouch.
Yes. So ball hockey is possibly off the table. I did have a little bit of surgery to fix the meniscus, but it feels good. I have no pain. The surgery went fantastic. I have strong leg muscles. I will continue to train my leg muscles to keep them strong. I had no pain running the 4K. I actually did it today.
Nice.
And it felt really good. And I love being outside. I love working on the breathing like we've talked about in the other podcast. So I was trying to do a little bit of breathing through my nose for just a little while. And
challenging.
It is challenging. But it just felt good.
That's great. There's so many things you just said that I could spin off, but let me take a few of them.
Okay.
You mentioned about keeping your legs strong. Fortunately for me, so I was getting ready for a run that I just did on this weekend that included a half marathon. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, about 6 weeks ago, I finally got my crap together and started doing some weight training.
Good.
And it's unbelievable the difference it makes. If I'm doing regular like squats, Bulgarian split squats,
yes,
deadlifts,
fantastic,
regular squats, regular lunges, it is unbelievable how much better I feel when I'm running. So that's a great one. So much
better.
But you mentioned zone 2. So let me just get a bit specific on that. When you say zone 2, I hear people talk about zones and breathing in different ways. You mentioned zone 2. So like, I'm not asking you to speak for everyone, but for yourself, like, what do you mean when you say you're running in zone 2? What does that mean to you?
So to me, John, that means, so usually I use the calculation of 220 minus your age. That then gives you your max heart rate.
and then you're going to take 70% of that number. So,
But do you actually do that when you're out on the road?
For me, I like to have more of a feeling of what that would feel like. So it's more than power walking. So my breath and my breathing is more than what it would be if I was power walking. I can definitely have a conversation with someone. That's where you want to be on that scale. Right. And I'm not exerting myself to the point where I'm deep breathing. Yeah. Yes.
You can laugh at me sometimes because sometimes to test that. So I like the idea of conversational.
Yes.
But I run by myself. So every once in a while I'll sing a little bit when I'm running. So you'll see this guy walking down the street singing. Why is that guy singing? Well, I'm just trying to see if I can keep talking.
Exactly. I think that'd be very motivating.
Have you ever heard of entrainment?
No.
Okay, well, that's another cool thing where you're matching your breath to your steps. And so, for example, if you're taking 4 steps for a long breath, so 4 steps out, 4 steps in, that's your really slow pace. Like that's your kind of zone 1 pace.
Oh, I have not tried that
If you try 3 in and out, then you're a bit faster. 2 in and out, you're going faster. So that's another way some people talk about different zones. And that's why I was asking how you thought about it.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, I haven't tried that.
Okay, and now do you have any kind of goals to what you want to do as you get back into it? Are you going to stretch out the distance? Are you going to try and do a fast 5K? Do you have any thoughts?
I'd like to move up to 10K.
Cool.
Yes.
10 years ago, I couldn't imagine running 10K. Like I just couldn't because of the shape I was in. Mm-hmm. If you said to me, imagine running 10K, I cannot do that.
Right.
Now, 10K is like my normal run.
Yes.
It's so amazing how we can change over time if we just...
That's where your fitness level is at now.
So anybody out there, no matter what shape you're in, it doesn't have to be running. It could be whatever you like, but just start slow and keep at it. And a couple few years from now, you'd be amazed what you can do.
Yep. Small steps.
Okay. Well, thank you. I probably did more talking than you. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But I cannot help it when people want to talk about running, to talk to them about running. So
yes,
thank you,
absolutely.
Andrea.
I can see that. Thank you.
There's a thought popped up while running. Most of these are running pop-ups. Sometimes it's biking. Sometimes it's walking. Can I get away with a bus pop-up? This is a bus pop-up, bus riding. I had a really cool thought while I was coming home. I'm starting to think about all these different categories of wellness, and for people who listen in, you'll remember I talk about mental, artistic, environmental, spiritual, physical, intellectual, economic, social. Sometimes I try and figure out what activities foster each area, and I don't be dogmatic about that because I know some activities work in different areas. And sometimes I think now that I'm thinking more about these areas and how to foster them, I am doing a better job at not only fostering the areas by doing little check-ins and reminding myself to do them, but also balance because I'm less often letting some of the categories fall by the wayside. Sometimes I have to. That's just life. You have to set some aside to focus on others. But wow, I had this experience where like everything was coming together all at the same time. You'll have heard some of my stories about starting to walk to work, and then we're trying to go down to one car, so I'm trying to find my way into work without driving. I bike, I walk, I take the public transport. So that was one of the days. I walked to work, and I took the public transport home. So I'm sitting on the bus, and I'm thinking, wow, because of the podcast and talking to people, I got my library card, and now I'm listening to audiobooks. So in the morning, I was walking to work and I was listening to The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje. Amazing book. I love it. 4 characters, each one so rich, so many interesting thoughts. As I was walking, I realized it was feeding my intellectual and spiritual wellness. And of course, I was trying to help the environment by not driving. So that kicks in environmental wellness. There's also a piece of that that's better for us economically. So there's economic wellness. Definitely made me feel better, and I was walking 5 kilometers, so you're getting mental and physical. And then I was on the bus ride home, and I had just finished editing a What's on Your Mind segment where Sheila and Elise were talking about friendship, an article about friendship. And they noted that Elise said that she had heard that people who are extroverts get energy by being with other people, and people who are introverts get energy by being alone. And I'm more the introvert. But I was riding the bus home and I've been really enjoying being on the bus. I've been trying to figure out what I like about it. Usually I don't, I just enjoy it. But every once in a while I'm like, what do I like about this? I mean, I'm on public transport. A lot of times you're like, oh, that's a drag. It takes time, blah, blah, blah. But I'm liking having to walk to the bus stop from home and work. That just gets my blood flowing a little bit, gets me going. And then I'm on the bus and there's lots of people around me, right? So I'm the introvert. But I'm surrounded by people and people are living their lives and they're looking at phones or they're having conversations and you can kind of tell what people are doing. They're on their way to work or maybe they're going to the mall. But I just got this really cool energy and I thought, hey, I wonder if I'm an introvert who feeds off people. So if I put myself in kind of a social setting, but I don't have to communicate with everybody all the time, sometimes I can feed off that. So anyway, all 8 of my areas were coming together in the same day, and I realized that and thought, wow, cool. It's me. Am I?
Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
We just turned off the mic because we're done. We did a bunch of moved up bodies and some flip sides.
Yeah.
And this is the life. This is my life. What's the first thing Sheila says?
Don't say I don't do anything for you. Don't say I didn't do anything because you're always saying that I don't do anything.
For
so
me.
I just want, for you.
How is this for me?
Because this is your.
Is it mine?
Yes, this is
No.
totally yours.
No,
Yes. I'm just your help.
You're not my help. You're part of the podcast team. Like that's the whole problem. You should be treating this as if it's your own because then maybe.
Then maybe what?
Well, I don't want to say anything.
You don't want to get in trouble?
I don't want to get in trouble. And not only that, I'm only in this whole mess because of you in the first place.
I don't understand that at all. Why do you think this whole thing is my mess?
Because we had a huge argument a long time ago where I was like, man, if I start a podcast, I have to do it right. And with my personality, that means we have to come up with a format. We have to come up with music.
I do remember that.
And we have to do all this stuff and it's going to take how many hours a week and how much money. I don't want to do it. And what did you say? You said I have to do it.
Okay, but first of all, you can't just put your finger up and tell me not to talk when this is our talking time.
I wasn't.
Yes, you did. You're like, hey, don't interrupt me. I'm talking.
No, that was me. That was just me emphasizing what I was saying. Like, hey, man, like I'm talking like Sheila with my hands.
No, he's like, don't you say anything. I want to finish my sentence. Okay, so this podcast is totally your idea.
It was my idea. It
was your idea.
But you are the one that said we should do it.
Yeah, because that's me. You got to do it. Like, just do it. Stop thinking about it. Do it. Okay, so you're doing it and everything's going great. And then we worked it all through and we're doing all this stuff. But then you're like, oh, I got to do everything. I'm always doing everything. You don't do anything. You don't help me. And I do so help you.
I don't think I ever said you don't help me. I'm just saying, I'm just complaining like, okay, I got to edit. I got to do this. I got to do that. Got to get the social media done. Got to do this. Oh no. And by the way, I've got a trial coming up and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. The main point is
that I do help you. That is the main point.
No. That I should get sympathy from people because as soon as we finish recording,
because your brain doesn't work properly.
See, look what I did for you. Like, hey man, you're doing it for you.
Wait, what? We're doing this for you or you're doing this for us? What? Wait, what?
We're doing this for me and you. And let's not forget, it's really, we're doing this for the listeners.
Well, exactly. I was going to get to that. I was like, okay, it's not really for you or for me. It's for everyone. We're doing this for everyone. Hopefully everyone's getting something out of it.
Okay, so this time when I hit stop, you can be like, see, don't tell me I don't do anything for the listeners.
Okay, sounds good.
Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
And we're here for a sign off. It's Elise here with John and Sheila.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, it was a beautiful week. I couldn't believe how wonderful the weather was. Mm-hmm. And we actually did a lot of barbecuing this week, which was really nice.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had a lovely week. It wasn't super productive. I did manage to glaze and paint a lot of my pieces that I've been working on over the summer. So now I'm just holding my breath and waiting for them to come out of the kiln to make sure all is good. So those are my pottery pieces, which is pretty exciting. In terms of this week, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving this weekend, a nice long weekend. And I'm also doing some dance choreography on Tuesday. So I'm excited to do that. It's hip hop, which is not my preferred style, but it's still a lot of fun to go in and have fun with the kids.
Well, you got to videotape some of that. I got to see Elise doing hip hop.
Yeah. She's better at hip hop than I am.
How about you, Sheila?
Well, I had a very productive week this week because it was my healing week. I did go to the doctors and I saw a physiotherapist. I got my knee taped. I was given exercises to do every day. But the main thing was she told me what I can do and what I shouldn't do. And that really did help me because I was finding that nothing was working. I didn't know what to do, so that really helped. And I do feel like it's actually getting stronger and better. So I'm so excited. I'm not getting too excited though, because, I've got to be patient. But that is my new thing. So I'm really hoping with Thanksgiving being a long weekend, I'll have some time off and then I'll be as good as new. That is my goal. What about you, John?
Speaking of which, if people are looking at our Instagram, they're starting to see some reels. That was Elise's idea, saying that maybe do some reels instead of photos. I ended up getting some software that makes making videos really cool. And I'm a real Photoshop type person anyway. So it's a Photoshop way to make videos and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So keep your eyes on Instagram if you want to see some of what we're making. In terms of me this week, I had signed up for our Canadian Army run that I did a couple and a half weeks ago because I wanted to kickstart. So months earlier, I'm like, I got to get in shape. This will help me get in shape. And ultimately didn't quite get me in the shape I wanted to get in, but it did work as a kickstart because when I finished, I was like, yes, a whole bunch of things did go right. And now I'm ready. So I took a week off. And then this past week, Monday, this is the week. Every day, going to watch what I eat. I'm going to do some exercising every day. And Monday it went perfect. And Tuesday it went perfect. And Wednesday it went perfect. And Thursday I totally stopped. And I just ate a whole bunch of junk food. And
oh, no.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not so good. So guess what?
Back to the grind.
Today we're doing this on Monday night. And starting today, it's going to go perfect. So I'll let you know how that goes next week.
Excellent.
Does anyone else have anything to add?
I just wanted to add that we now have our place in Collingwood. So we will be going up there as much as possible for the next little while. So I'm excited to see it and go up there and enjoy the beautiful changing of the leaves and everything up in Collingwood.
In fact, I'm finally going to take some holiday this year, which I haven't done yet. I'm taking a whole week off. So that should be fun. Okay, well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show and we hope to see you again next week.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.